You're listening to the Hypnotic Empath, and I'm your host, Robyn Holm. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, a body talk practitioner, and an empowered empath with over 2 decades of experience helping sensitive souls like you reconnect with your power. This podcast is a space for deep healing, subconscious transformation, and real-world support. We'll do some guided hypnotherapy sessions, we'll talk to some incredible guests, and we'll help you learn to release what isn't yours, to protect your energy, and to finally feel safe being you. It's time to move from surviving to thriving. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to the Hypnotic Empath. I am your host, Robyn Holm, and I am here with my friend Courtney, and I cannot wait for you to meet her. Courtney, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Robyn. I'm so excited. This is my first time being a guest.
Oh, wow. So Courtney has a great podcast. This is actually how we know each other, is that she invited me to be a guest on her podcast. And now I have the thrill of having her on mine. So I'm so happy to have you here.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you again.
Welcome. Okay, so could you explain, just for those listening, just talk a little bit about yourself, who you are and what you do and what makes Courtney Courtney?
Yeah, so many versions of Courtney led to this version of Courtney, but yeah, for sure. I started off kind of my healing journey, you would say, in my teenage years. I was a competitive athlete for over a decade. I was in figure skating and track and field and just kind of pushed my body to the absolute limit until I realized that it was trying to talk to me. So that would be like repetitive injuries, sicknesses. I had a lot of chronic UTIs as well. And I was always told it was from sports and just from stress and all of the things. And I was like, this doesn't make any sense. I don't know what am I doing wrong? Somebody help me. And every doctor that I went to, it was like another diagnosis or another like claim to this is what you have and this is what you'll be living with for the rest of your life. So I was diagnosed with interstitial cystitis and told that I was just really young to have it at 20 years old. And they don't really know why this would be happening. And I would just have to take these pills for, the rest of my life, multiple times a day. And I was like, okay, I don't know any better. And then skip forward, I went and saw a naturopath. And I think this is where the trajectory of my journey changed, because it was the first time that I ever actually felt like somebody heard me. For about an hour, we went through and she's like, can you start at your toes? Tell me what's going on with your feet. Like, funny that you say that. My right ankle seems to be where I hold all of my tension. It just bugs me all the time. It's always hurting. She's like, interesting. And just starts writing stuff down. I was like, why is that interesting? Tell me what's going on. And then just like an hour of going up and up and up. And then we finally got to the bladder. And she was like, are you on any birth control? I was like, yeah, I am. I use the NuvaRing. She's like, has anybody told you to take that out? No, but nobody suggested that. Diagnosed right with the IC, this is going to be the rest of your life. I was like, oh, that actually would make sense. And I took it out. I was getting bladder infections once a month, probably for 3 to 6 years on and off. And no doctor, nobody ever suggested that could potentially be associated with my birth control. And as soon as I took it out, I essentially never got one again. And I was like, what is going on? Amidst all this, I'm going to school. Like, I'm at university and at Simon Fraser University for health science and kinesiology. And I was like, how did this happen? I don't understand. And so I kind of just kept going, training, doing all of my things, but without the bladder infections, and started to explore new paths of regulating my nervous system and understanding how the stress could be causing flare-ups and the association with the birth control and what hormones were suppressing, and really just diving deep into studies and then also my own personal healing journey. And then when I finished and graduated from university, there was something that was missing again. I don't want to just I'm like, why do I not feel called to just put my hands on people right now and like go and be a physiotherapist or go and do athletic therapy or anything like that? I'm like, there's something else that's going on. And that's when I took my Reiki training with my sister and something else clicked. I was like, oh, okay, there's more to this. And there's like words to things that I could never really explain myself, of how I felt about energy, about the body, about how, yeah, we know the body keeps the score, right? And it was like I had been seen again the naturopath the first time, and like Reiki the second time, of okay, these things coexist. Energy, the physical body, the spiritual body, everything is kind of coming together. And by no means did I have all of the answers, but it was just kind of like a stepping stone for me. Utilize that Reiki practice within what I was doing at the time, training figure skaters. I was down back at the coast before we moved up here, and just really trying to create a space where they could train their bodies, but also their minds, especially as young women. And yeah, made like mentorship packages and things that just like feel like the whole circle, I guess, of well-being. And that kind of led me to be like, I think I need to open my own practice. I think I need to do something. And yeah, it has brought me here. I know there's a lot more to that story and to the depth of what I do now, but now I have my own practice, and it's called Holding Space Co. And it kind of just involves everything. It's not, I always wanted to have one set practice. I'm going to offer Reiki now. I'm going to just offer just the body work. And Holding Space is about all of those pieces coming together, about whatever anyone needs on their own healing journey. If you need more body work, great, we'll do body work. If you feel more connected to Reiki, great, we can do that. But if you appreciate a blend and you're comfortable with a blend and your body's asking for a blend, then that's what Holding Space is about. So we do like cupping, massage therapy, hot stones if the body needs heat, but we're also doing like deep relaxation, resets, talking to even like spirit guides are starting to come through. That's kind of the most recent, I would say, download for me that I feel comfortable sharing finally, is connecting to past loved ones that you're holding space for in your body. And where is that sitting? And can we shift that out through physical work alongside Reiki and energy work as well? So, and now here I am.
Wonderful. And did you do any additional training after the Reiki?
Yeah, so I completed my Reiki, and I also, we talked about this on our podcast too, about how it's always like, okay, I'll do the next thing. Okay, I'll do the next thing. So I did some yoga teacher training. I was trying to figure out what that was all about. And I was like, okay, am I supposed to do this in yoga? And then I jumped over to doula training as well. So I just finished my triple stream doula certification as well. And again, always just searching for like, I just want to collect. It's like a Mary Poppins bag of, if I just have some more information, or even the community, right? Connecting with someone like you, or I'm like, okay, I'm finally in the place where I have my people. And if I have this beautiful community, I can be like, why, Robyn, I trust and love Robyn. And I don't necessarily have to go get trained in hypno. I mean, I would love to, but I have somebody who holds that container already. So I would love to pass that on. So that's kind of where I feel called as like a community builder now, instead of going and getting more and more certifications as they come. I just like to find and create space for more people to share what they've already learned. And yeah.
Isn't that so beautiful? And I know we've talked a lot about human design, and we talked about it on the podcast I did on yours, but you're a manifesting generator. And I'm a manifesting generator. We tend to do 80% of everything, right?
Absolutely.
And as you know, I come from the fitness industry and then into body talk and then now hypnotherapy. And I also feel like I've just been collecting a full toolbox. I feel like I'm working with a full toolbox. And of course, I can always add more things to it. But I totally agree. It's so wonderful. Sometimes we are not the right fit for a client, but when you know who you can send them to, it's so nice. It just feels like you can help them wherever they're at. Because I might not have the right skill set to hold space for somebody, but you might. And I love that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like talking about the human design too, and knowing that like I'm a sacral authority. So now when I'm making those decisions, like we talked about again, I'll know if it's a heck yeah, like right away. And I can think about those times in the past. Maybe I'm supposed to do this yoga training. And I'm not saying I didn't use it. Definitely was great for me. But even I did do my BCRPA too. So I became a personal trainer because I was like, am I supposed to do this as well? But I remember being like, like I'll just do it. Whereas now it's, oh no, like that wasn't the piece. But that's okay, because then the universe just let that lapse out. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah, it's a piece. It's still a piece to the puzzle.
Yes, exactly.
How have you gotten better at listening to that gut knowing?
Lots of trial and error, lots of practice. I don't think that it's something that anybody is perfect at. Acknowledgement is a huge piece. So even if I don't listen, it's the acknowledgement and the awareness of being like, okay, I wasn't listening. And that's okay. It's talking to that inner child, being like, it's okay. Like, you were excited about this for a second, and that's all right. But I have gotten better through, I would say, like my own spending time with myself, I guess, is sometimes the hardest part of my healing journey, at least, is trying to shut down the what could I do next? What could I do next? And spending time with myself and be like, okay, so this is what I feel like when I can take a deep belly breath and it's not forced and I'm relaxed. And then when I put myself in those situations where I'm out and about and I get that feeling where I'm like, this is not it. We all have our own different cues in our body. So figuring out what those cues are, again, my bladder will flare up if I am pushing myself too far. And I can feel it through my whole nervous system, that I get that same like tingling, shaky kind of feeling of, and then I panic, right? I can visualize where I was in that moment, being in so much pain, being so young, being like, oh, I'll just keep going. I'll just take these medications and these things. They don't happen very often. I'd say maybe once a year now, but it's still that like intense body reminder that says, hey, like, you haven't listened. What are we going to do about that? And then it's a support afterwards. It's not judging myself. It's not being super critical. How do you not get this yet? It's okay. Let's run a bath. Let's listen to your music. Let's like have a tea, something that will bring you back, and knowing what brings you back into your body.
Mm-hmm. And it's that book of experience that we start to build up where we can look back and be like, oh yeah, so the last time I felt like this happened, which can sometimes work against us when you're remembering, when you get those feelings in your body, you're like, oh no, not this again. And then we can
Mm-hmm.
feel like we're starting from scratch again, but you're not. You're never
Yeah,
starting from scratch again because you're never going to be where you were ever. The circumstances change over time. So I
yeah,
love that you're able to just recognize that, and we start to get the clue quicker every time through practice.
absolutely. Oh yeah, it's crazy how quick things like have changed in that regard, like how you're talking about. I feel like sometimes I sat in that space for like years, even when I look back and being like, wow, like, was I actually, I just didn't shift it. You know, you'd have that mini blip of awareness and be like, okay, I'll just keep going.
Mhm.
It feels like a whole different lifetime. Whereas now I sit in something and it can still exist. I still give it space. But then say like by the end of the day, oh, that shifted, right? And we can choose to, yeah, allow ourselves to feel and process in whatever way we need to. But you're right, it does change as we bring that awareness and practice to it.
That's right. And that's how we practice is so, and every time we choose our gut, and we look back and say, oh, yeah, that was the right thing. We have that book of experience, but we also can look back and be like, you said that was the wrong thing. I didn't go with my gut, and look how that felt. And that's all just experiencing and experimenting and learning from experience,
Mm-hmm.
which can be such a nice thing just to know. And so you were talking about your bladder. For me, it's my like my gut. My intestines will start to act up. My digestion's super sensitive.
Mm.
And that's usually my tell that things aren't going well, or my adrenals will crash. And I found in the past, like frustration with my body when it's telling me to slow down and I don't want to. I want to keep going. I don't want to slow down. That was a big part of my fitness journey. And when my body was screaming at me to stop and to slow down, even when I started going to Body Talk as a client, I was always doing it to heal my body enough to get back to fitness. That was always
Yeah.
my intention, is I was just trying to get back to pushing my body again because I'm really comfortable there. I like that. I like the physical side of things. So it was such a different journey to go through.
Mm-hmm.
So when we can start to look at that as your body communicating with you and take the cues a little sooner, that can really save us a full collapse.
And like a literal collapse sometimes. Like mine was my right ankle as well. It was like such a sensitive space for me. And it's where my last injury was before I stopped competing. And now it will flare up and I can recognize it quite quickly because I know from past experience, if I just, oh yeah, yeah, it's a little bit sore, I will like have literally in the past fallen down the stairs. Like your ankle just be like there, and then all of a sudden it's not. And I swear I stepped on the stair, but the body's like, I can't hold the load anymore.
Yeah.
Like I gave you a couple warnings and
Yeah.
then downstairs we go, right? And then it's your body will, if you don't make time for the rest, your body will find time for you.
Well, that's interesting because from a body talk perspective, when ankles come up, it has to do with the gallbladder meridian.
Mm-hmm.
And gallbladder meridian is all about decision making. And sometimes when you're not listening, the body will create an ankle injury to immobilize you. So you have to sit in it and you have to pay
Mm-hmm.
attention. You have to listen. So we can look back and be like, oh, yeah. So my right ankle also talks to me quite a lot. And I broke my right foot once and right on the gallbladder meridian. And I just jumped off a surfboard and there was a sandbar under the water and I rolled my ankle and my bone broke and it shouldn't have. But when I look back at that time now with this understanding and perspective, it was when I was in my 20s. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up. This was really important to me. I'd given myself 5 years out of high school just to travel and figure it out. And I was really stressed at that time that I hadn't figured it out yet. I wanted to know what my calling was. I knew I wanted to do something with the human body, but I didn't know what it was yet. And I was looking and searching and always looking and searching. And then here this injury ends up happening. So I had to really sit in what it was that I wanted. So that is a really interesting thing. So the next time your ankle acts up, you can ask, like, what decision am I avoiding?
Absolutely. The last time that it happened was when I was still at my corporate job before I started doing mine. So it's interesting that you say that. Before I actually started the business, I think that it was probably a couple months before. I had a stress fracture in my foot and I didn't take time off. I just got the boot and I put the boot on and I'm hobbling around being like, all right, I'm still here. And it's like, what decision are we trying to make here? And I remember it was very shortly after that I gave my notice and started my business. So
And then did your ankle heal fast after that?
well, I haven't had any like it flare up really like that and again. So
Yeah, isn't that cool?
yeah,
I
very cool.
also don't injure my right ankle anymore,
Yeah.
but I did over and over and over again right up until I left the fitness industry. I was
Wow.
always injuring my right ankle. And
Mhm.
my right shoulder is another place that I've held a lot of stories. That's what I
Mhm.
always say from a body talk perspective, because I, like you, came from science, exercise science, movement. Do A plus B and you'll get C. The body is a machine, blah, blah, blah. And then from a body talk perspective, it's like when things aren't working the way they're supposed to, the body keeps the score. There's probably a story stored there. And the reason I had to get out of fitness was because I had injuries that were not healing no matter what I did. And I had the best physiotherapist and I stuck with my supplement routine and I was ridiculously strict with my eating. And like I was an athlete and it still wasn't healing no matter what I did. But that's what led me then to body talk. And I had so many stories in my right shoulder, my right ankle, my right shoulder. So clearing those over time, like my shoulder does really well now, like really, really well.
Mm.
And then I also had an experience of breaking my left wrist 3 times. That's kind of
Wow.
weird, right? Three
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
And then through my body talk career, I had a big session on it once and we cleared a bunch of stories and memories stored in that wrist. And I have not injured it since. And that was 15 years ago. So it's neat how the body
Yeah.
can communicate. And when you are like a go, go, go doer kind of person, and we're so comfortable being the human doer, and then we're getting called to be the human being, human doing, human being. How do you hold space for yourself to be in that being place?
Mm. Such a multifaceted answer because it really depends. I have been really focusing on my cycle lately. I would say lately, like over the past like year and a half. So recognizing first where I'm at in that, because the answer will kind of change. Because if I'm in like during my bleed, I will not be as community focused, I guess. I will not be pouring my energy out. I'll be bringing my energy in. So on a daily basis, I make sure that I have my community and my people. Um, that being said, I just want to reiterate it's the right people. And sometimes when we are like, not sometimes, when we're empaths, we want to like open our heart to all the people and be like, oh, we have the same ideas, we have the same mindset, all of these things, which is beautiful and lovely. And this community is so great for that. But knowing who gets those seats at your table when you are feeling like you're in that place of close to burnout, or when you're holding too much space, there are the people that have the seats at your immediate table where you can send a message and be like, hey, I would love XYZ, some support. Could you send me some support in terms of, yeah, like a message? Sometimes not sometimes, I do. I'm creating this. I ask for sessions when I need them, because if I wait till I'm at the point where I can't hold anymore, then I know that I'm in that burnout spin and that hasn't happened for a while. but having and allowing people to hold space for me is how I continue to hold space for others. And it seems very simple, but having those regular routines where I don't have to hold the container. And for somebody who has really been acknowledging that control has been a big piece of my life, that was really hard for a really long time, to allow other people to hold space for me and control, and saying that, I had an addiction to control. And I remember the first time I was not called out on that, but I was sitting in a room and this practitioner said, okay, so who's had an addiction? Who's been addicted in their lives? And I was like, finally something. I'm like, yeah, not me. Because I'm like not a substance gal. I don't love to drink. I don't like to smoke. I'm not I don't love substances. I'm already kind of in this space where the universe and all these people are talking to me already. I've never really felt called to doing the substances. So I'm like, I'm not addicted to anything. Not that. Yeah, it was just so funny. And then he came out and he was just like, and control can be an addiction too. And I remember sitting there being like, dang it. That's definitely it. It's making sure, regardless of the scenario, if I already had the worst case scenario planned out in my head, then if anything else happened, then it would be okay. So I would just play that out, play that story out. Okay, so I've already pictured the worst case scenario. Now whatever happens will be okay. So yeah, for me, it's just been taking that step back, allowing myself to still have control within maybe my community base, and allowing myself, who do I feel safe and comfortable with, and maybe even reframing that word of control and just bringing my power back. What is my body telling me that I need? I need this person and their magics. I need a physical massage, or I need sound bath, or I need to go to hypnotherapy, and allowing that container to be held. But just at home, I do like to have baths and read books and kind of remove myself from, always trying to, I say air quotes, get better or work on the next step of my healing journey. And sometimes I just want to open a book and read a book, or watch TV, or, talk with my husband. And yeah.
Yeah, perfect. So do you like to read fiction or nonfiction?
It started out as how much I could possibly learn, it goes right back to university. It was like, I know this, it's sticky because I know the intention of wanting to learn the information. But it was forced, right? It's read this book. We're going to memorize and learn this in the next 4 months. And then you get tested on it and then throw it over there. And then we're moving on to the next subject. And it's cram, cram, cram. And so even after university, my sister would say to me, can you just read a fun book? And I'm like, no, I want to read this next mindset book, or read that. And I do have a beautiful collection of those when I am in the space for them. But now I'm in a different phase of shifting into just some fun books. And it's been lovely.
Mm-hmm. It is like a little mental vacation, right?
Yeah.
You nurture yourself in that way.
Yeah.
Like to listen to other podcasts besides your own?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm a mindset mentor, like Rob Dial. He's my morning. I know that as soon as I listen to it, I'm like, who am I going to send this to this morning? I was like, listen to this one. Let's be on the same page. And then of course yours. And I've just actually listened to the Spirit Baby one last night. Yeah. So
What did you think of that one?
it was good. I was trying to go to sleep and I get my head twitches when I have energies kind of coming in, and I was asking questions what do I need to do? And it's it pops right in that intuition piece. It's you need to listen to that podcast. And I sat there and put my headphones on and listened to it, and it was led to a beautiful evening of a beautiful sleep of actually continuing to be there in my sleep, just continuing on from the podcast. And yeah, it's hard to describe when you go to that place while you're still sleeping, but you're actively you're actively dreaming.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like the manifestation place.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
one of the reasons that we often talk about listening to a hypnotherapy session before, as you're going to sleep, because it can really, already your subconscious mind is a lot more aware as your conscious mind is going to sleep.
Yeah.
So it's a really great time to manifest. So if
Yeah.
there's something that you are working at manifesting or wanting to bring in, it's a great time to do it before you go to sleep. So
Absolutely.
that's a nice little nugget there. And then when did you first figure out that you are an empath?
I mean, I didn't have a word for it when I was a kid, I don't think. But I was at Disneyland and I was sitting at a table, and it was supposed to be the happiest place on earth, and I was crying. And then my mom's like, why are you crying? I'm like, I just like, one day you're not going to be here. And that's just so sad to think about. Like, we're in this happy place, and all I could think about, I don't remember how old I was, around between 10 to 12, I believe. Just be like, one day you're not going to be here. And she's like, honey, we're in the happiest place. And I just remember that feeling of, yeah, just it's so expansive, right? It's not just a layer of being like, oh, I can feel other people's energy around me. It's like that, the biggest of thoughts of what is my purpose, and thinking that at 12 years old, or and how am I going to hold space for others. And it's so sad that, we had a teacher that passed away in our high school, and I never even was taught by this teacher before. I just remember sitting in the car bawling, and I was like, Mom, I can't go to school today, like this teacher passed away. And she's like, do you, like this, those types of unexplainable, at the time, unexplainable feelings were, why are you feeling so hard? And I remember my family bought me an Eeyore toy. They're like, here, it's you, you're Eeyore, just like that. And I was like, I already know this, I'm so emotional. And yeah, I guess it was just always a piece of me. I was always just this, at the time, we didn't have a word for it. We do now. My family and I are very open about knowing that I'm just this empathetic person that feels a lot, which has also invited other people in my family to now start to feel more and understand that. But at the time, I was just sad all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I relate so much with my kids are big feelers like that. And we're approaching it a little bit differently than it was approached for me.
Mhm.
And I'm not a big emotional feeler in the way that you explain that, which is how the reason I didn't know I was an empath for a really long time. But what you talked about, like imagining the worst case scenario and then planning for that, what I've noticed through all of my work with empaths for the last 15 years is that we are the ones that are watching out for the safety of the pack. So there's this analogy of like deer, and if you see a beautiful glen and the deer run for the glen so that they can eat the grass, and then there's going to be the deer that are on the edge looking to make sure there's no predators before they let their kids run out there. So the empaths are those deer that are always watching, and then the other ones that just run straight into the field know that they can trust that the empaths are on the outskirts watching and becoming
Mhm.
aware. But then what comes with that is a sense of responsibility for the safety of all humans, all people and animals and whatever else. It's like it's obviously up to me to make sure everyone's safe because I'm the only one that's going to see that car. I'm the only one that's going to see that danger. I'm the only one that's going to see that danger, and I am now responsible to do something about it. And I
Mhm.
remember when I was 9 years old, I was babysitting my siblings, and this is before cell phones. So my parents had gone out and they weren't coming back at the time they said they would. And I was in my bed crying, bawling my face off, for sure assuming that they were dead. If they weren't here, they're obviously dead. And now I'm going to have to raise my siblings. I was 9 years old. And I'm
Mhm.
I'm assuming now I'm gonna like this is now what I have assumed. And
Yeah.
understanding later on in retrospect that the big feelings and being able to pick up on the stresses and the feelings of everyone around you, it's why that bowl of protection has helped me so much now. Because it's not just noticing other people's feelings and emotions and feeling all the things, it's the sense of responsibility that you feel for the safety of those around you that's really tricky if you don't know what's happening.
Absolutely. Oh, for sure. I went to the Wild Rose Festival earlier this year, and I went alone because I just wanted to be in a space and like actually allow my body to tell me what it needed, instead of me being like, I'm going here for this intention and doing this, and these people already know me and all that. So I went there, and there was a one of the sessions was a mediumship, and I was like, wow, okay, I've just started to really tap into offering this as one of my sessions in the last like year and a half. Let me see how she presents her gifts. And I sat there, and it was supposed to be an hour and a half, and I was there for 3 minutes. And she's like, anybody that has any questions or wants anybody to come through, come on up to the microphone. And there's probably 300 women or so in this particular gathering, and people start standing up. And I'm sure in my mind it felt like a lot, like maybe more, but people started standing up and walking. A couple of people like, gently jogging to go to the microphone, and my whole body was just like tingles all over. And I felt like, yeah, just this overwhelming rush of how are all these people going to get the messages that they need. I had that same feeling of what you're saying. If I'm being called to start offering this. I want to make sure that I can tell everybody. Everybody deserves to know from their past loved ones. And there's people who feel like they're running towards the mic. They want to hear so bad, and there's so much love, and I get so emotional. So I'm like, how can I process this right now? And going back to my previous answer of one of your questions about how do I like hold space for myself, there was a tent there, and it was called the space holding tent, or the holding space tent, or something very close to. And the surrender that it took for me to be like, you can go at any time. They had said any time to this space, and there's like trauma enforced counselors, all the things there to support you. But even I sat there, I was like, do you deserve to go in there right now and take away from somebody else's experience while I'm sitting there like, oh my gosh, this is a lot. And I'm like, no, walk into this tent, like walk in. So I walk in and I sat down, and there's this beautiful conversation that me and this woman had for like an hour and a half. I was like, I'm never going to be able to help enough people. Like I'm never going to be enough. And that was what my subconscious was trying to tell me for that weekend. That was my focus of, or not my focus. That was what my body was screaming at me. You keep telling yourself you're never going to be enough, no matter what you're doing, even though you feel like you're living in your purpose and you have this business, you're still never going to be able to offer sessions to every person in the world, Courtney. And I'm like, ooh, gut punch. Like how? And she looked at me and she said, can you think of one person that if I talk to them right now, could say that you made a difference in their life? And I was like, yeah, I can think of one person. She's like, is that enough? And I sat there and I like, it just, again, the tingles went down and through. And again, that like the gut feeling of like, of course that's enough. But it was through allowing somebody else to like just hold my emotions, my feelings, and all of those pieces, to really allow those feelings to come up and to share it and to vocalize it out loud. And like you just said, like we can't offer sessions to every person in the world, and that's okay. But I
Yes,
really
and
resonate with that.
oh, that is so I resonate so much with what you just said, and knowing that the way that we help everybody is by helping ourselves first. Because empaths often feel, you said it so perfectly, who am I to go to the tent and take someone else's space who might need it more than me? I see this all the time with empaths and abundance, because with empaths they feel like if they're taking money for their services, let's say, it feels like they're taking money from somebody else. So it feels like this finite pot of money. And if I take a big scoop of money, then somebody else isn't going to get money. And that's not actually how the universe works, but it's how empaths feel. So to be able to acknowledge that feeling, even though it feels silly when we say it the way I just said it, is to be able to acknowledge that feeling of like you going to the tent and getting some support and some help. First of all, I bet you anything the woman who was able to support you got something out of that session too,
Mm-hmm.
because an
Yeah.
hour and a half, there's no way there wasn't an exchange of energy there, first of all. Second of all, by you getting clarity, you get to help more people. And third of all, it's the ripple effect. So you healing then ripples out to everybody else, and they get healing from that too. So that's how we can help everybody, because we can't actually help everybody.
Yeah.
But by helping and healing ourselves, it's the same thing I've really noticed in my marriage, because when I'm healing myself and my husband's working on healing himself, when we come together as two healed people, then that's a beautiful marriage. Whereas if we're always working on just the marriage, that doesn't work as well. You really do have to have eyes on your own plate first, which again, if you're a helper or identify as a healer or are an empath, that it often feels like there's so many other people out there who need more help than I do. Who am I to need help? And then we
Yeah.
just go and go and go and go. But I do think it's not the right way to look at it. Hmm.
Yeah. It's tough because in that, like, there's two versions, not two, yeah, two versions of me after that conversation. It's like, okay, so we could choose to continue to help the people that we're helping and continue these offerings, or am I supposed to do exactly what that woman was doing and offer to 300 people? Like, am I supposed to do big people gatherings? And I, again, coming back to my gut, like it was a no. Like, I'm not supposed to hold space in that capacity. And that felt like a failure in its own way. I was like, well, what do you mean? Why would I be? And that was part of the conversation I had with her, is like, if I'm growing and if this is what I'm supposed to do, and this situation, I can ask myself, am I supposed to hold space at festivals for this large group of people? No. I was like, well, then what am I supposed to, like, if there's only 3 people, like, is that going to matter? And I remember saying, does it matter if it's only 3 people? And she's like, is it enough to just have the people that are there. And it is, and it's what I would tell my clients too. Everything that's coming through for you, or your gut hit, is the most important, and that's your intuition. So when I came back from that festival, I remember sitting down, is the day that I got home, and I sent out one of my emails to my small group of people that have done intuitive readings and stuff before. And I'm saying, I'm opening my home, which if my friends are listening to this, they know I don't open my home. Like, it's my little safe space. Like, it's my little protection bubble inside my house. So I was like, I'm opening my home to 5 women every Thursday night for the month of, I think it was July, for a group intuitive readings, because I want to practice and I want to see if this feels good. And by the next night, every Thursday was full for all of July, and people were asking for a wait list for like August and September. I was like, oh, okay, let's see how this feels. And then I held those circles in those containers, and I'd never felt more full in any of my other group, as like, it was just such a different feeling. And yeah, I just equate that to like surrender, listening to my body. And I wouldn't have approached that in the same way if I wouldn't have received someone, like, have somebody else hold that space and container for me to just feel. And if I would have come through and forced it in a way that I thought was going to be the most, the better ROI, I go back to that type of like removing that and stepping into intuition. So return on intuition instead of return on investment. Right.
That's a really good hack. Do you still do groups?
Yeah. When I have a lot going on too, like, like family stuff comes up, it's, again, we can't control it. And that's very hard still for me. But when things pop up, I want to always make sure that I'm intentional with my time, not only with the clients that I am with, but in groups and stuff as well. So I did a couple, I think I only did one in September, and then it just didn't feel like it was time for October, November. Even now, I haven't done one, but I'm feeling the inkling to do it again. But that's been one of my biggest lessons, is not forcing it, because if it doesn't feel, there's always been a reason, I guess that'd be the best answer. If I'm like not called to do it, then something will pop up and I'll be like, well, it's a good thing I didn't plan to do that thing because this person in my family needs my support, or I feel like I need to rest this month because something big is coming. I know we can all kind of resonate with that as empaths as well, when we know that there's something else that we kind of need to conserve our energy for.
Is that one of the reasons you started the podcast, was so you could reach more people?
It was actually to, like, I want to sing. And it's hard for me to sing in front of other people. The podcast was a medium for me to share my voice first, to listen to my voice speaking, and to make sure that I didn't adjust to like that higher octave squeaky voice that I use to make sure that everybody else feels comfortable. And then I was like, well, what am I going to talk about on this podcast? And I wanted a place or a resource, like library, for people to be able to be like, go and listen and to a hypnotherapist speak about what it is they do and how they can offer help and support for people throughout their journeys. And just expanding again that library for clients, so they knew that they don't have to have just one modality to focus on. And here's your library of all these different practitioners that I feel safe and comfortable with. Pick ones that feel good for you. So that's why originally I had started the podcast, share my voice, but then also making sure that clients had that external support. So again, I didn't feel like I was like holding it all for them. It's like, no, this is your journey. What feels good for you? Go check out the other episodes.
That's really empowering for people, isn't it?
I think it is, because they can really take what they need and not say like, I'm feeling that you need to heal this, and this is what you should be doing. And here's your 12 weeks of sessions with just this one, which is great. If you feel like you're called to work with somebody for 12 weeks and in a powerful coaching container, lovely. But also like really stepping back and being in your gut and listening to what you need, because you might need body work, you might need body talk, you might need, even counseling. Sometimes people need to speak their story out again. I realize that, how many times I go into counseling and be like, reshare with somebody else and be like, okay, so tell me from the beginning, what's everything that's happened to you? And you're like, oh, okay. And then you'd share everything. Do I feel better after that? For me personally, after the 4th or 5th different like counselor that I had seen over, no, it didn't feel better, because there was no shift or movement. It was just me re-sharing my trauma. It would reactivate in my whole body. And then I would leave the room feeling all like I did in that moment where that trauma happened. And there was no shift. So for me, it was more powerful to do it this way. So I think it's important for anyone on their healing journey to have their library of people that they feel safe and supported with, whether or not they offer body work or energy work.
And different thing for a different shift, I find. Like right now, I am working with a wonderful EMDR therapist because I'm finally ready to work through my IVF trauma. Because I do work with women in fertility, and I would find that when I have my fertility clients that were going through the IVF process, while they were waiting for their pregnancy result, I felt like I was waiting for mine again. Like my body remembered so acutely. And I've done a ton of body talk on it. I've done a ton of hypnotherapy, but what I really needed to work through it was EMDR. And when it was time, I found the right person, and I've been doing that alongside because I get regular work as well. I still get body talk every month. I still get hypnotherapy every month. And in addition to that, I've been doing the EMDR, and it's been really, really helpful for that deep, deep, long seated. This is a 10-year period over which we did IVF. So it was over a long time. So it was very deeply ingrained. And when you do like to learn, it can also work in the way that you learn, oh, remember how scary that was last time? You should hurry up now and get worried about it because here it comes. So being able to interrupt that pattern, to choose a different way, and to hold in mind what it is that you want as opposed to all of the ways it went wrong in the past. I think that that
Absolutely.
can be really, really helpful.
For sure. I definitely agree. It all, yeah. If you're getting body tingles, even just listening to you
Mm.
speak, because it's like your body is always, it's always talking to you. And I guess that's one of the biggest things that I talk to my clients too about when they come in. A lot of the times people are saying, I just want the answer. Can you just tell me what the answer is?
I'm like, you're in the wrong place. If you want
Yeah.
answers, you are in
Yes.
the wrong place.
I was just like, oh, this is like, it's like when you open the Pandora's box of healing. It's like, wow, okay, I'm going to start like stepping into this journey. You open up the box and you're like, wow, okay, people see me and they recognize and they're talking this language and it's so beautiful, but it's so deep as well. And as soon as you hear that, like, I say answer of like, there is no answer. It's like it is another gut punch sometimes to people. They're like, well, what do you mean? If you just tell me the steps to take, I'll do them and I'll follow them and I want to feel better. But it's like, have you ever asked yourself? And like, can you even ask yourself? Because a lot of times I'm like, well, where do you feel that in your body right now? Because I can see that, your body mannerisms start to change, shoulders come up to ears, or you tense up, or you can see the eye contact drift away. Where are you feeling that in your body? Oh, I'm not really sure. And that's okay. But it's the awareness that's like, okay, so we're really sure of where that's sitting. So how can we continue to judge and compare ourselves in all of this if we don't actually recognize like what is going on? Like we can't shift anything if we don't know, like, yeah, if we can't talk to our bodies. It seems so simple, but it's very deep.
Mhm. And as an athlete, we get really good at turning off parts of our body. So if I rolled my ankle while I was teaching, I would tell my ankle to shut up because I can't deal with you right now because I have to finish this class. So I
Yep.
was very good at shutting off parts of my body. So instead
Yep.
of whispering, they had to scream
Mm-hmm.
at me. The other thing that I like to say to clients is you just have to know what the next right thing is. And if you
Mm-hmm.
have ever seen Frozen 2, if you have never seen it, I highly recommend that you watch that movie because it's phenomenal. But the whole theme of that movie is just do the next right thing. Just do the next right thing. You don't have to know the next 50 steps. And for people like us who really do like to know all the steps, and as you said, you would catastrophize and be like, worst case scenario, okay, I can handle that. Cool. Whatever else happens is a bonus.
Yeah.
When you're used to doing that, just knowing the next right thing, it took me 12 years to get pregnant with my first child. And I would feel really hopeless when I didn't know what the next right thing was. As long as I had the next right thing, I was okay. And then
Mm-hmm.
I could, I felt positive and I could keep going with it. So, what is the next right thing? And if you are, like you were talking about, going with your gut, there's the hell yes, there's the hell no. For some people, they feel it in their heart or their chest where it'll feel heavy or light. And sometimes you need to sit with something for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
As sacrals, we tend to make the decision pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people who are emotionals and they actually need to take a little bit more time. And I will link to the human design calculators that you can figure that out, because that was a big piece of understanding myself and how I respond and operate. And when you understand yourself more, you get a lot more clarity. Because I often, especially with my fertility journey, I was always looking for the answer outside of myself. Who can fix
Yeah.
me? What procedure? What's going on here? Because it was unexplained for us. Like there was no reason that I was not getting pregnant time after time. I was super young. I was super fit and healthy. What the actual fuck, basically.
Yeah.
And when I was able to get to the point of understanding myself, hypnotherapy really helped me to go inward and to remove those subconscious blocks, which was incredibly important. But it's understanding. It took me a long time to get to the point that if something was off, that I wouldn't be like, oh my God, quick, I need a chiropractor appointment, or can I get into my physiotherapist? And what about this? And what about that? Instead, being able to tune in and be like, what is my body trying to say to me? What can I solve right here, right now for myself? And that's
Mhm.
empowering.
Absolutely. And I find that too with like the intuitive healing sessions that I offer. That's literally what it is. And even when I first started, I wrote out the description. I remember being like, this intuitive healing session will be this. And I'm like, even looking at it, I was looking at it the other day. I was like, what is that? What is that description? Like, you have no idea what this, and then it's shifted so much since starting, because like we sit here and we're going to talk about like, how is your body feeling today? Because when you booked the session 2 weeks ago, you might have been thinking about this certain scenario. Your body might have been talking in this way, but today it's talking differently. So, what support do you need? You might have booked cupping, but cupping might feel too intense. Or like you might have booked Reiki, but you do need some like physical movement in the body as well. So, I feel like it's just so important to take that time as well when you do have a client that's coming in that, you know, you set the space so beautifully as well, and have great conversations about like really allowing the body to relax. Because if we're in this state of like, okay, just jump on the table and we'll just like move some energy or like move some stuff around, the tenseness and like the fascia that holds those stories is not going to release at all. And I've had so many people that come in, they're like, I like hard pressure, like just jab me with your elbow. And I'm like, okay. And we get in there, it's like, hey, like I actually can't move anything in there right now because your body is super tight. Like, let's move through. Like, we'd be open to moving through some breath work quick. Can I just stretch out your fascia a little bit before we do this? And that in itself brings awareness, and like allowing that waterfall to flow from the top of the head all the way down to the feet, and be like, we're actually here on this table right now, and your shoulder is saying that it needs, some extra love. Or we might go even deeper if people feel like they know and they've explored the roots of some of their trauma and where it sits in their body. Like, we can focus on those areas too, and not try to be like, okay, this is just like really bugging me today, can you just jab your elbow in there and move some stuff around? Because then even afterwards and the integration time, like, do you really want to go home and like have like such a short sore shoulder that you can't actually move because you're so tense and tight during the session? Or would you like to, explore the emotions and the feelings that come up after a session where you actually feel like supported and held instead of punished? So yeah.
Remember when I was first learning body talk, we went for a session and Chris had separated his shoulder, and we had gone for a session with my mentor, Christy Kenny, and she would always start with body talk. We always ask the body what its priority is. So
Yeah.
if somebody comes in with their shoulder, I'm going to have that in my awareness. We're going to talk about it. But then when it comes to the session itself, we're going to ask what the priority is, because the body knows the order in which it wants to heal. And
Yeah.
sometimes the priority is these other things that then inadvertently releases the shoulder without me ever having to touch it.
Mm-hmm.
So in that session, I watched her ask, like, can I adjust? Because she also has a massage therapy background. Can I adjust the shoulder? And it was a hard no. She was like, did not have permission to physically address the shoulder. But then we did the rest of the session around it, and he ended up doing a lot better, etc. But I thought that really helped me to feel safe in the modality itself, and to always asking the body, because when we can approach it with curiosity, like, this is the story that we've talked about with the conscious mind that you are conscious of. But now let's ask the body and the subconscious mind what this is related to, or where it even started, or what's going on with this.
Mm-hmm.
And even when I work distance with people, I had a client who had a pinched nerve, that just, she woke up one day with a pinched nerve in her shoulder, couldn't move. And I saw her on social media. I'm like, what is going on with your shoulder? She's like, I don't know, my neck. And I've been to physio, and I've been to this and that. So we did a body talk session. And just from us going through the roots of what stuff was held in her body and moving that out, she finished the session with the pinched nerve completely gone, and it never came back. And I didn't touch her. she was in Texas. I was
Yeah.
here. So
Yeah.
it's really neat how the subconscious shows where it is that we need to work, because did her actual physical shoulder come up in that session at all? No, we were dealing with stuff from when she was 4 and 5.
Mhm.
So that was the body saying, hey, there's something going on here that your subconscious is ready to shift. Can you please pay attention?
Yeah.
And then we can do that work. And I would say to people too, if you go to the chiro and he puts your rib back in and it's out 2 days later, come for body talk.
Yeah.
Because there's a reason that it won't stay where it's supposed to stay. And there's usually a story or stress stored there.
Absolutely. It's interesting because that's where like the physical body and the energetic body, that I love the combination of the two. And it's so
Same.
important to me that, yeah, that it's just blended. And I have loved watching people who come in again for the physical session who are like, I would love some cupping, and they get it. And then we're like, what actually is this? What actually are you doing? And they're asking questions. And it's like, okay. So, and I give, hey, energetically, this is what the liver is holding here. It's a darker mark. So you can physically see that the mark is darker here. Energetically, that could mean this. And then they leave and they go away, and then they come back and they're just like, so I'm interested to know more about the energetics behind that. And then so that you could start off, if you've never had a session where, you know, you've talked about the energetics surrounding the trauma in your body, you can start off with physical things or with, like you said, chiropractor or whatever it is. But the blend is just so magical, and seeing people's perspective shift when you can have both sides of the coin kind of melded together. And yeah, you can have the physical if you need it, but the blend is where all the magic happens, in my opinion.
Oh, it's wildly effective. Wildly
Yeah.
effective. So what's next for you, Courtney?
I am diving into the spiritual side of like the intuitive healing, like the readings and things like that. I've had a lot of beautiful sessions where people have come to me with loved ones who have passed in more tragic ways, and it has been such an interesting journey because it's something that I removed control from. I didn't market. I'm not putting it out there like, this is my big offering, come and see me for these things. It organically started to flow, and I was very open to the shift in that. So the last 6 or 8 months, I've really been focused on holding space for these intuitive spirit readings for people, and it has been transformational because I feel like I'm unpacking a whole nother layer to my own gifts. So I'm still exploring what that means, but I'm coming back onto my podcast as well and just starting to share from the heart of my own experiences. And I think lived experiences, how we learn as well. And yeah, I'm stepping into whatever this next chapter holds. I'm not really attached to the outcome for the first time, but I'm holding space in whatever way that I can for anyone who just feels like they need support. And whether that's one-on-one stuff or group things, it's, you will know the answer to these questions if you talk to your body. And yeah.
And how can people work with you?
I love to work like in-person sessions. I am offering online stuff as well, but my little home studio is just steps away from my front door. So I'm at home, which is beautiful, but you can book with me online and we can kind of just do a blend, kind of just what we talked about of if you're wanting to connect with someone that has passed and you're feeling still a lot of sadness and grief surrounding that. I'm almost guaranteeing that sitting somewhere in your body that also needs some support. So the blend is beautiful where we can talk about these things. We can have a spirit reading before. We don't have to do that. We can just have a conversation and get you on the table and see what your body is telling you. And then also support your body with some physical touch if that's what you enjoy. And yeah, my favorite way to end a session is with some 8D music. It's one of my favorite, like just that bilateral stimulation that circles around. I just feel like we can bring the body back in after a session as well.
That sounds amazing.
It's my favorite.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I will link to all of your contact details in the show notes.
Absolutely.
And I really appreciate you being here today. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much for allowing me to share a little bit of my story.
Appreciate it. Awesome.
Appreciate you.
Okay. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you for joining me today on the Hypnotic Empath. If this episode resonated with you, I'd be so grateful if you'd follow the show, leave a 5-star review, or share with somebody who needs this kind of support. You can find more resources, hypnotherapy audios, and ways to work with me at robynholm.com. And don't forget, your sensitivity is not a weakness. It's a gift. Stay rooted in your power, and I'll see you next time.